Hey, hey y'all, this is Marley K. Hope everybody is doing well. Got two stories that I want to share with you about veterans um, and services that will go to veterans that have been either paused or are projected to be cut. And because of this, they're going to do like they've done with all the other programs. They're going to be paused for about 30 days till the courts can make decisions. But in the meantime, it's hurting the economy and it's hurting the people, and that is what all of this is meant to do. It's going to stifle the economy. It's going to cause people to lose homes, to lose cars, to not be able to buy food. Uh, it's just a mess, and it's intentional so that they can bring down the economy. And so when the World Economic Forum said a couple of years ago that, in 2025 there's going to be a lot of pain, there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of, I don't know if it's going to be death, but population transitions in Western nations in 2025, while the global South, their populations grow. It would this would explain how and why, because either people are going to start leaving here because they can no longer afford it and they're not liking the new system, and folks who do come here are going to come based on the, if they're rich, the New World Order system, and they think that's a great thing, or they're going to come here as slaves and thinking that the old America is still the America that they're coming to, not really understanding that the old America is going away. Now, people who have money and are educated and aware of like what's happening in the world will understand, but there will be plenty of people who will be wanting to come here thinking, oh, they're going to be the next token and not really understand what is happening. So it's just a very interesting time to be alive and witnessing all this. But I want to share these two stories because to me, they don't do anything to help people to fight in the military. And we all know that because of the dumbing down and the willful ignorance um, sometimes of the people, not really paying attention to what's happening globally. People don't understand how close we are to World War III and how close they are to all these, brainless children who walking around with phones in their hands all day and all night playing video games might have to go off to war because um, you're looking at what's going on around the planet. Everybody is starting our war. The war is escalating. It was just war of words. Now it's trade wars and tariffs. The next thing is fighting, all out fighting. Now, how that fight happens, don't know. We've already been under cyber attack. We've been physically attacked, and we don't know who's doing it. We don't know if it is, you know, we don't know who it is. I'm just say that, and things have been happening. But now you can see the demolition happening on the inside. You can see what's going on the inside. How, you be wondering, well, how is America going to just fall like this? Well, the people you elect are going to do it to us. And so this is another, lesson for us to see how white supremacy is going to work and reinvent itself, because that's what's happening. So everybody has been used up. Everybody's disposable, or disposable, indispensable. Everybody, doesn't matter. So all these patriots, people who walking around, oh, I'm patriotic, I'm doing blah blah blah, but now Your boy is in trying to cut contracts for veterans and doing stuff to disabled veterans and uh, closing offices, not paying contracts for doctors, just all kinds of stuff. Y'all are seeing how things work, and they always have worked like this, but this is the first time we've ever seen an administration just come in and do this, and it's very painful to watch. But I'm sorry if you're a veteran and you're having to endure this, but it just goes to show you, even if it's a conservative uh, government and you're a conservative, you can still be impacted. I know a lot of people in the military are conservative socially and financially, but they expect the government to adhere to their contracts and promises that they've made to them in exchange for their service, and that is not happening. So, um, it's a lesson for a lot of people. You put your faith in the Most High. Do not put your faith in man. All right. So this story came from ABC News. Um, this first story. It says VA pauses billions of dollars in cuts lauded by Musk as lawmakers and veterans decry loss of critical services. So this story came out on February 26, 2025. It says the Department of Veterans Affairs has temporarily suspended billions of dollars in contract cuts after an uproar that critical veterans health services were harmed. Lawmakers and veteran services organizations said Wednesday. So it says the Department of Veterans Affairs has temporarily suspended billions of dollars in planned contract cuts following concerns that the move would hurt critical veterans' health services. Lawmakers and veterans service organizations said Wednesday. That's very hard to say. Whoever wrote that. Ooh. The pause affects hundreds of VA contracts that Secretary Doug Collins a day earlier described as simply consulting deals, whose cancellation would save $2 billion as the Trump administration works to slash costs across the federal government. Well, the problem is sometimes doctors come in and work on contracts for the VA hospitals, and because they're veterans and because they have a specialty that is very much needed, especially in the VA hospitals or the VA health system, they're paid very well. So when you're talking about cutting out contracts, you could be cutting out contracts for doctors, for nurses, and they'll call it's consulting. You're an independent consultant. It means the doctor pays, for their own insurance and all these other things needed to practice medicine. And so they pay the doctor more money so that they don't have to cover the fringe benefit costs of that employee. So, without getting any information about what these contracts are for, it could be for cleaning, it could be for a lot of stuff. The whole purpose of this public private partnership to start with was because the government was too big. So then they started outsourcing stuff to private entities or, small businesses to bid on contracts in order to do work with the business. So the government didn't have to have all these employees and pay for all this insurance and um, health insurance and retirement benefits, etc., etc. So to just be like, oh yeah, these are consultants and we'll save $2 billion. Well, you could get rid of a lot of people, specialty doctors who have contracts with the VA healthcare system to provide services to veterans. So when you have stupid people who don't use these services coming in and trying to analyze what's what and do it in something like this, it's stupid. And and this is how you know this stuff is done intentionally. Like this is an intentional attempt to destroy the confidence of the financial markets, to drive up cost, to cause the poor people to have losses, and just be out here. We are literally out here on our own. As you can see, Trump is not stopping nothing. He agrees with everything Elon does because he owes Elon money. So you don't have a person in the White House who's going to be like, "Oh yeah, this is, this is going to harm this group of people." No, they don't care. He doesn't care. He's not from here. He's not vested here. He is a pampered pooch and never done anything hardly difficult a day in his life. Just sit around and talk shit and tell lies and come up with stuff and talk to fallen angels who give him ideas about stuff, but ideas that also don't work because they counter everything that the Most High has um, placed on the planet that for us that we will need. So it's just a really weird time. Um, just really, it's really stupid. So it says no more paying consultants to do things like make PowerPoint slides and write meeting minutes. Collins posted to X Tuesday in a post that was then lauded by Elon Musk, President Donald Trump's cost-cutting chief at the DOGE Department of Government Efficiency. The Associated Press has obtained the full list of 875 affected contracts, which show the cuts would affect everything from cancer care to the ability to assess toxic exposure. The list underscores how the Trump administration's approach to broad spending reductions has immediate and potentially unintended consequences, generating significant concern not just among Democrats but also Republican lawmakers. The VA said in a statement to the AP that its review of the contracts is ongoing and not final. We will not be eliminating any benefits or services to veterans or VA beneficiaries, and there will be no negative impact to VA health care benefits or beneficiaries. We are always going to take care of our veterans at VA, period. VA Press Secretary Pete Kasperowicz said in a statement. One contract that was on the chopping block supports assessing veterans' disability ratings. Those evaluations are one of the most important steps needed for a veteran to qualify to have their medical care covered and receive financial compensation if they were wounded due to their military service. An inaccurate rating can have a long-term impact on their access to care and financial support. So listen to this. One of the contracts that was on the chopping block supports the assessing veterans' disability ratings. So what is that going to do? Save the government money. If your government ratings are screwed up, or if you don't get a government rating because disability rating because the service is not available, then you can't get disability. So they're getting ready to go to war, but getting ready to get rid of this particular service. So it means that when folks go into the military, they may not have the promise of health care uh, when they come back, and that is a shame. Another contract is intended to identify and integrate data between the Pentagon, VA, and other agencies to support the promise to address Comprehensive Toxics Act of 2022, a bill passed in 2022 to increase veterans' access to care. So really, this is this thing to integrate data. This is just another thing to get everybody on this new global system, because health care is a part of that digitalization process. They're going to know if they didn't gave you the BAPs. Some of the other contracts marked for cancellation also directly affect veterans' care. At a joint House and Senate hearing Wednesday with veterans service organizations, Connecticut Democrat Senator Richard Blumenthal submitted a partial list of the affected contracts his office had received and is submitting it for congressional record. If carried out, these cuts will harm veterans and taxpayers for years to come, Blumenthal said in a statement. In an internal VA email sent Tuesday and seen by the AP, a VA contracting official said Doge targeted contracts broadly categorized as consulting, but they included ones that, if terminated, would halt chemotherapy and imaging services. Contracts to calibrate radiation detection equipment, to support cancer care, and veterans cemetery management, among others, were also targeted. Another would directly affect the ability to assess toxic exposure because it supports more than 24,000 research requests to look through the National Archives and Records Administration and other government sources to validate service and toxic exposure events. So again, um, some of these soldiers are working in military um, jobs that cause them to be exposed to toxins, and then when they get out, they have all sorts of health issues. But you have to go through the records to make sure that they were exposed so that they can get a disability rating when they have um, issues. And so that contracting um, gig is on the chopping block, which is crazy to me. Former VA Secretary David Shulkin, who served in the Trump administration in his first term, said that while the agency has gotten larger and there are likely savings to be found, the VA grew in part to meet the large expansion of veterans enrolling to get care under the PACT Act. More than 740,000 veterans signed up for the coverage after the law passed, according to a September 2024 VA press release. So a lot of times veterans are exposed to stuff, and I can speak, for my family members. They don't access VA, benefits. They served, they went in, they did their uh, tour. If they had to go to war, they did that. They got out, they went to work, and they never pursued a VA for nothing. They don't get their, if they had any issues, they just suck it up. They don't want anything to do with the military. But then they have these programs later on in life. You're like, hey, I could have been getting XYZ for my time that I served and was injured. And so they go back because the government acknowledges that they exposed them. So it's an opportunity for recompense for veterans, and those are the things that are being put on the chopping block. So it's basically taking away the ability of veterans to sue the government and make them, and put them on the hook to care for them for the rest of their lives. And they don't, again, it's intentional. Don't know how they're going to attract um, new veterans, and they may not need to. That may be the whole plan. I don't know, but this is all just so crazy. Veteran service organizations called for immediate transparency on what contracts were affected. The funding suddenly stripped from contracts possessing claims, conducting medical, and expanding outreach. There are growing concerns veterans will face delays, denials, disruptions, and accessing critical services, said Rosie Torres, executive director of Burn Pits 360. The group advocates for veterans who face life altering respiratory illnesses and cancers due to toxic exposure to dangerous air particle matters generated from massive trash burning fires at overseas bases. The Washington Post was the first to report on the cancellations. So the next story that I want to share with you is about how Doge is going to cut jobs at in Illinois. And if I can get the thing to doggone move, there it is. Okay, so it says Doge cuts 2,400 VA jobs. Illinois veterans lose access to services. This story came out on the 27th of February. So this is on WAND News. Let's see. So, this is amid a surge of Department of Veterans Affairs layoffs across the country, the organization Vote Vets held a national hall to discuss the negative effects that federal downsizing by the Department of Government Efficiency have imposed on the United States veterans. U.S. Representative Tammy Duckworth, an Iraq War Army National Guard combat veteran, said that the layoffs will have a widespread and lasting effect. Trump and Musk have slashed roughly 2,400 Department of Veterans Affairs jobs, a decision that won't make things more efficient like they claim, but will actually lead to longer wait times, more backlog, and more chaos for veterans. They've also launched a wider purge of federal workers firing. In total, an estimated 6,000 veterans who are federal workers, including the folks behind the Veteran Crisis Hotline, said Duckworth. So, it's going to be very difficult to explain away why the veterans got to lose their jobs. We supposed to be helping out the vets who put their lives on the line, and we're so patriotic. What's going on? What is happening? What's happening? So it says, with the layoffs, there are already reported shortages in access to resources given to veterans. Healthcare appointments have already been canceled due to staffing shortages. And that's because a lot of times healthcare workers are contract positions. So when their contracts are paused, they don't get paid. So they got to go someplace else and work. Period. Contracts are not like, regular employees. You have to pay them. When a contract is just not when it's not um, you know when it's paused, the person who put the pause on don't have to pay. So the court is basically gonna have to force the administration to do what it is supposed to do, just like it did for U.S. aid. So again, all these cuts are unnecessary, but it's all about going through, getting all this information, this data for these data centers. How you think they're gonna build these data centers, and these $500 billion worth of data centers in all these places across the country? This is why. So it's nothing more than a scavenger hunt. Elon Musk and Trump are working together to destroy the government while getting all the information that they need for their 2030 agenda. They say they're not globalists, but they are very much acting in the interest of globalists. The number of beds and operating rooms at VA facilities have already been cut down, and suicide prevention training sessions have been postponed or canceled already, said Duckworth. These jobs should never have been threatened in the first place. The senator explained that with these cuts to benefits, she foresees dire consequences. The crisis hotline is where veterans turn when they are considering suicide or self harm. The public servants working there are doing some of the toughest work imaginable to support our heroes in their absolute darkest hour. These are the people that Trump and Musk are happy to throw by the wayside. Yes, they don't care. He had already said he don't care about y'all. He don't care about you, patriots. Dustin Conklin is a United States Navy veteran who moved to Illinois for a job with the Natural Resource Conservation Service for the USDA. He said he moved hundreds of miles away from his family and support system for this new job. On February 13th, he received an email with a notice of accepted service termination during probationary period, which I don't even understand how you do that. How you gonna tell somebody they have to accept termination during probationary period when you might not even had an evaluation? All of it sounds illegal to me, but you can't expect nothing more from treaty breakers. The email explained that he had been fired due to performance, even though he had not been in his new position long enough to receive a performance evaluation. Now, Conklin is at risk of losing his health insurance, which covers both him and his daughter. My health insurance is pretty important to me because I have regular therapy appointments. I access antidepressants and anxiety medicine that I'm about to lose, Conklin explained. So, let's see. It says Coast Guard veteran Frances Greenlee had a similar experience to Conklin. Once she got out of the Coast Guard, she was hired for the GSA, which is the General Service Administration's Federal Acquisition Service, to help prevent waste, fraud, and abuse of federal dollars. She also received a notice of termination based of performance. Quote, she says, my supervisors didn't know I was terminated. I forwarded them the termination letter. I hadn't been at this job long enough to do a performance evaluation, end quote, Greenlee said. Kyle Lewis is a U.S. Navy veteran. After his time in uniform, he became a counterterrorism analyst with the U.S. government. He was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in 2020, and he was given 6 weeks to live unless he started treatment. Quote, my doctor said, if you don't start this experimental aggressive treatment now, you're not going to be here much longer. And I was fortunate to get into a clinical trial at Johns Hopkins, which was funded by the National Institutes of Health. I say was funded because it's not anymore. The cuts that Doge has is the cuts that Doge has made to cancer research as well as other life-saving medical research has put my cancer treatment at risk, Lewis said. Washington State Attorney General Nick Brown explained that these federal cuts would continue to be felt countrywide in the form of shortages and decreased access to services. And so this is what they want. They want y'all to be afraid. They want y'all to rely on them. They're the savior. That's what this is all about. We can look at it physically and we can look at it spiritually. Spiritually, they want to be our savior. The government is acting as if it's our God. We can't live without it. They have us so just entrenched in needing the government that we don't believe we can do stuff on our own. We don't believe we can heal ourselves. We don't believe we can take care of ourselves. They're going to force you to. They got you addicted to government services, and now they're going to snatch them from you. They're not even going to wean you off of them. They're going to snatch them from you. And they're going to cause the entire economy, the fake economy, to collapse so that you won't be getting those things anyway. So what they're doing, really and truly, in my opinion, what Musk and Trump is doing, they are stifling the government, knowing that they really don't have the authority to do all the stuff that they're doing. Because once these challenges go through the courts, a lot of these people, it's just like COVID. These people got fired from their jobs. Then after a little while, they're going to get their jobs back. These people were without income. The government is going to have to pay them back pay, probably plus interest and whatever other expenses that they have to pay. So, we're really not getting anything after you look at all the lawsuits and for wrongful termination, breach of contracts. Man, you're looking at bunches of money. Trump ain't gonna have to pay none of that money. The taxpayers are on the hook for that money. Well, we already broken and you trying to get blood from a turnip, so like it's just going to be a vicious cycle. But because these politicians have studied us and they know that all these they've created all these divisions, and that people are extremely emotional, that you can't hardly um get people to think logically and think that, hey, this something is not right about this. So it doesn't matter which political party you are with, you're going to feel the heat. And if you're sitting around thinking, oh, well, I'm not going to experience nothing because, Trump is yah, 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 or the other is yah, 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 you're sadly mistaken. All of us are going to experience a lot of pain because these politicians know how to play each faction or division that they've created. And they know that most people are fearful because we are, they have gotten us to a point where we're so codependent on them that we think we can't live without them. Every time they talk about cutting something, even though we know that they really shouldn't have all this power and authority, but we're sitting here talking about, oh, we're so afraid, whatever. I'm just telling you, you need to prepare to care for yourself. And just prepare to care for yourself. Don't You should not be expecting insurance to pay out because your insurance may get canceled. You should not be expecting services. You should, if you're depending on any resources that come from the government, you shouldn't be. If you got a pension, you shouldn't be dependent on that. If you get disability payments, you shouldn't be dependent on that. SNAP, TANF, all those things, like, they're going away. And if they're not going away completely, they're going to be greatly decreased. They're going to change the name of a lot of stuff because we're going to have to switch to universal basic income whenever they switch the new system over. I don't know when. I don't know. I don't have any idea about time frames, but as you can look and see, they have accelerated their plans to dismantle this place. And so we just have to brace for impact. So I want to share these stories about how they are doing the veterans, because if they'll do it to veterans, they'll do it to you. If they do it to healthcare workers, they'll do it to you. If they'll do it to government workers, they will do it to you. They do not care about sticking it to us. So you need to be preparing to take care of yourself and be more self sufficient. This is the year you need to be trying to figure out how to take care of yourself, live better, control the things that you can control. Uh, Make sure you are exercising. Make sure you are dieting and fasting, taking your vitamins and eating your vitamins and minerals. Making sure you are eating clean food as best you can, and when you can't, you just got to pray over it because everything's contaminated on this planet. And we just gotta prepare spiritually for what's coming, because it's going to be real disrespectful how they treat a lot of us. Our people should not be surprised, but even myself, I'm finding myself surprised at Edom. I really am. But I don't know why, but I just am. All right, y'all. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. Make sure you're reaching out to veterans and letting them know that a lot of the services that they rely on, a lot of the doctors and medical services that they have become accustomed to, could be paused, which could be an inconvenience. And also, if you're a veteran and you're employed with the government, you should be also preparing for pauses or possible unemployment, because the goal of this place is to get rid of as many people as they can, replace folks with AI. If you don't think medicine is getting ready to be taken over by AI, you got another thing coming. That's what all these electronic health record systems was about. It was about getting computers in the hospital, getting as much information as they could on people so that they can begin to treat you with telehealth and AI. So the things that we were accustomed to are going away in this new system, this new authoritarian type of governance style is not going away either. So get ready, family. Get ready, get ready, get ready. All right. This is Marley K. Love y'all. Keep prepping, keep praying, seeking the Most High. Obey the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Repent daily for sins of commission and sins of omission. And keep watch because there are things that we should be looking at, and things like this are really distractions. All right. I'm out.